Many people in the United States are unaware of how police encounters are legally classified, which often leads to confusion about when a person is actually being detained and when they are free to leave, and this lack of understanding is exactly what makes unlawful detention such a common issue, because a police interaction can feel mandatory, even when it is not legally justified. And under U.S. constitutional law, there is a clear distinction between a voluntary encounter and a detention, as police officers are allowed to approach individuals and ask questions, but unless there is reasonable, articulable suspicion that a crime has occurred, is occurring, or is about to occur, they do not have the legal authority to detain a person, restrict their movement, or prevent them from leaving. And this is where many problems begin, because officers may use authoritative language, positioning, or tone that makes a person believe they are not free to go, even when no lawful detention exists. And from a legal standpoint, the key question that determines whether a detention is lawful is whether a reasonable person would feel free to leave under the circumstances. Which is why understanding your rights is so important, because simply asking, "Am I being detained?" or "Am I free to go?" can immediately clarify the nature of the encounter. And if an officer cannot clearly articulate a specific crime or reasonable suspicion, continued detention becomes unconstitutional, regardless of how calmly or politely it is presented. And it is also important to understand that cooperation does not mean surrendering rights, as citizens are not required to answer investigative questions during a voluntary encounter, nor are they obligated to remain if they are not being lawfully detained. And while officers may claim they are just conducting an investigation, the Constitution requires more than vague reasoning to justify restricting someone's freedom of movement. And this legal framework exists to protect both citizens and law enforcement by setting clear boundaries on authority, preventing arbitrary stops, and ensuring accountability. And when these boundaries are respected, interactions remain lawful and professional, but when they are ignored, unlawful detention occurs even if no arrest follows. And the most important takeaway for viewers is that unlawful detention is not always obvious or aggressive. It often appears routine and conversational, which is why education matters, because knowing the legal standard for detention allows individuals to recognize when their rights are being infringed and respond calmly and appropriately. And by understanding these principles, citizens can protect themselves while maintaining respectful interactions with law enforcement, reinforcing the idea that constitutional rights are not obstacles to policing, but essential safeguards within a free society.